Man, all this talk about Sonic Adventure 2 has got me tired.
Yeah.
What's like going on otherwise?
Wait, are there things happening in the world of Sonic the Hedgehog?
We should like talk about them. All of them. Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of your favorite podcast, my favorite podcast, your favorite podcast, Let's Talk About Sonic, where we talk about Sonic all the time, and this time we're really talking about Sonic. My name is Mitt, and I'm here with my co-host, Crepe.
Hi, I'm Crepe. You can find me on Twitter at Crappy as always.
You can find me on Twitter also, as always, as Mitsumi Mario, twitter.com/Mitsumi Mario, that is. This week we have decided to dial back from talking about specific games, and we're just going to talk about what's going on, because there's a lot of things and there's a lot of nothing going on. It's a really weird situation we are in at the relative start of this new year.
It's strange. They've been pushing since the end of last year how this year is going to be the year of Sonic, because it's his 30th anniversary soon in June. That's a fun rhyme that I didn't mean to happen.
True.
And like that's a big number that matters, I guess. Come to think of it, how did Nintendo handle Mario's 30th? That was kind of like, that was also kind of a bust, right? Because wasn't that the Mario All Stars on Wii anniversary?
No, that
Okay.
was the 25th. The 30th was actually pretty good. That was Mario Maker.
Never mind. Yes, you're right. It was the 25th and the 35th that were.
Yeah, exactly.
We're living in the 35th still. Really hoping to see something of interest from Sega and Sonic Team this year. They haven't shown anything off yet outside of some admittedly cool IDW stuff that's on its way. Lots of toys and figures that are still in production. Little things here and there.
Yeah, just today they announced a pretty cool figure on Sega of Europe exclusively, but I want it.
Yeah, today as of recording anyway.
Yeah.
By the time this goes up, it probably would have been about a month ago or a little less.
Yeah, just about.
Perhaps. It looks great. For anyone who has not seen it yet, at the time this has gone up, it's this lovely little diorama, a very small diorama of Eggman in the Eggmobile with the Green Hill Wrecking Ball, and Sonic just running. It's neat.
Mm-hmm.
It's just well detailed. It looks great.
Yeah, it's a cool little budget kind of figurine compared to a lot of the other Sonic stuff. I think that's also the older design of the Eggmobile. It's interesting to see in media after some of the creative stuff we've done on our end recently.
Right. But like, there just hasn't been too much. That, like Mitt said, that basically just happened today for us at the time of recording. And that's the most eventful thing that's happened recently, again, outside of IDW announcements.
Yeah, that is to say, there have definitely been some crazy things happening in the world of Sonic. Following the announcement that they are making a second Sonic movie, which I am pretty excited for.
Right.
A bunch of voice actors for Sonic just kind of started dropping
like flies.
Yeah. So as of now, going forward, Roger Craig Smith, who has been voicing Sonic for a little over 10 years now, is not voicing Sonic anymore. So for newer Sonic fans, this will probably be a shock to you, or at least a new feeling for anyone who's been around here for a while. You've been here before. This isn't anything new.
Yeah, I mean, in the games, this is Sonic's third voice. As a whole, it's like his sixth.
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, I think sixth voice. And it's seeing Sonic voices come and go is just the norm at this point. It's just that Roger Craig Smith has been the longest running by a mile.
Yeah.
Jason Griffith only had the role for 7 years if you count the start of Sonic X.
Yeah, I would count that.
Yeah, I would too. Additionally, Cindy Robinson, the current voice of Amy, also confirmed dropped. She, along with Roger Craig Smith, Kirk Thornton, Um, oh, who was the other one? There was one other that I'm blanking on. Aside from Mike
Colleen
Pollock.
O'Shaughnessy.
No, because Kate Higgins was there for a bit, right? I was going to say that those three and someone else. Oh, I can't remember her name, but Rouge's voice actor.
Yeah.
Have all been doing their roles since 2010. So it's two of the longest running voice actors for the series dropping out at the same time.
Yeah.
Gonna check the wording on this really quick from Cindy Robinson on Twitter
Mhm.
When she confirmed that she wasn't going to be doing the role anymore. Yeah, she has said, "I'm loading out with my brilliant compadres," and not much else. We know for a fact, because Roger spelled it out, that he chose to leave the role. He was not dropped.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that might be the case with Cindy as well. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think, because like if they're all leaving at the same time, it makes you wonder if something's going on. Like
I know,
Roger
right?
retiring from the role does make sense on an individual level, but
Mm.
I feel like it would be strange that all these other actors are kind of going away, because even Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who is sticking around in some capacity,
Hmm.
is not voicing Tails in the new show.
Right. We don't know
So
anything about the show's voice cast yet. That is another thing
yeah,
that's, I guess, new and relevant. Even though we haven't heard anything since its announcement, there's going to be a Netflix Sonic cartoon called Sonic Prime, produced by the was it Mega Man Fully Charged? Is that the name of it? The Mega Man Fully Charged guys.
I think so. It's Wild Brain, right?
Man of Tomorrow, right?
Oh, is it? Let me look. Okay.
That's what I remember.
Sega and Wild Brain. So yeah, it's Wild Brain.
Never mind. Don't know why I thought it was Man of Tomorrow. I must have misheard something somewhere.
This episode will be dated or may be dated in the time between recording and when it goes up, depending on how much information comes up, because
Super possible.
we're pretty much due for a new game anytime now, and as soon as that happens and we know the voice cats, that's it.
Yeah. But it's also nice to like sit down and talk about all of it just for our own benefit, because there's a surprising amount to keep track of in terms of what's happened. Something I wanted to mention was that like it seemed like there was going to be a big voice cast changeover, but now there's like no guarantee at all. Not just because Colleen O'Shaughnessy has confirmed that she's still doing stuff with Tails right now, but because Mike Pollock re-auditioned for the role of Eggman and got it. So in theory, if they're not intentionally dropping other voice actors, some of them might stay, or if they are intentionally dropping everyone, some of them might re-audition and keep the role anyway.
Right.
So who's to say? But I'm really curious what they're going to do for Sonic in specific going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I had something I wanted to say and I don't remember it.
Did it have to do with Ben Schwartz?
No, not really. I guess it's just like it's definitely gonna be weird where we're at. I remember. The voice actors have to re-audition every game. I think we've heard
Wait,
from
really?
past accounts. Yeah, I believe so. Is that they re-audition for every game, and that's how you get situations like Ryan Drummond, where back in the Generations days he auditioned along with everyone else, and Sega was like, "Yeah, we want you," and they were very sure that they were going to do that. There's some Sonic Generations promotional material of the day
Right.
that straight up uses Drummond's voice clips, not new ones, granted, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't end up going through with him because they didn't want to deal with his union, which is miserable of them. But
Of course, that's been a long running problem.
yeah,
unfortunately. I wonder if that's also how we got Dave B. Mitchell doing Knuckles as of Team Sonic Racing in the most recent Olympics Games game.
Maybe.
Because Travis Willingham seemed pretty cemented in the role for a long time, especially since he was doing Knuckles for Sonic Boom.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna regurgitate a thought that I had when we were in warm up on our own, just kind of going through the voice cast to kind of refresh ourselves. I I really like when Knuckles has a voice that feels like adjacent to Sonic. Like it's neat that when they make him a little more gravelly and kind of hard edge, but
Mm,
I do also like when he has a closer parallel to Sonic in terms of how he sounds.
yeah.
So,
It's funny you say that. I agree, and I think that's part of why I really like Scott Dryer's performance in Heroes specifically.
mhm.
But also I think that's part of why I like Travis Willingham and Boom. Not so much in the games around it, especially not like Forces or Lost World, but in Boom specifically, he bounces off of Roger Craig Smith's performance really well.
Mhm.
Huh. Hadn't really thought about it. There being some amount of synergy between Sonic's voice and Knuckles' voice does add a lot to Knuckles.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that when Travis Willingham was doing Knuckles for the Boom cartoon in specific, he kind of like tailored his performance to lean a little more Patrick Warburton.
Oh yeah.
I think that was a good choice.
Yeah,
Not
it
just because it
definitely.
fits the character angle, but it's just also it's more fun than what he was doing for the games.
Yeah, exactly.
I mentioned Ben Schwartz briefly earlier, and that's just because a lot of people were speculating on whether or not he would be approached to do any other Sonic voices outside of the movie, and he has not. At least
Yeah.
as of this article I'm pulling up from February 9th of this year.
Yeah.
So
There
it's
is also we have an account from I think Ryan Drummond, if not just straight from his agent, that they did reach out to Sega to try and see if he can be on to to do the role of Sonic again, because
mm-hmm.
we all know he really wants to do it.
Right.
I would be excited for that. I am surprised by the amount of people who would not be. I guess I'm on a different page from everyone else now. Um,
I get the feeling a lot of people just aren't keyed into how he does the role anymore. They're like
mhm.
assume either it would sound the same as how it used to be, if they had any grievances with it then, or like they assume he's outgrown the ability to do the voice, and he sure hasn't. Anyone who's questioning that should go to it's either Emu Emmy or Emu Emmy, I'm never sure, on YouTube and listen to an episode or two of Sonic and Tails are the audio only show that Emmy is producing on there with a bunch of past Sonic voice actors.
Mhm.
He plays Sonic in those episodes in that show, and he still sounds pretty good. There's some times he sounds like a little mellower in a way that I'm not sure I like as much, but whenever he brings the energy, it's really there. So I think with the right direction, he would sound completely fine.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's mostly just a difference in voice direction, which I also think is something that not a lot of people take into account, is how much a different voice direction can change how a voice is heard. Like, I have no
Mm-hmm.
doubt he could still do it. It's not like he was like 16 then and he's 40 now. That's not really how you lose the ability to do the voice. I'm sure he's fine. Um, because even then, like you could really hear the differences in the inflection of his voice between like something like Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Adventure, Sonic Heroes. They're all completely different approaches to the same voice, and I
Totally.
think that's why people get kind of tripped up over it.
Right, right. I mean, I've heard a lot of criticism of how Scott Dreyer sounds kind of flat as Knuckles in Sonic Adventure 2, and that was his first time doing the role.
Hmm.
That's why I always mention Heroes, because he sounds way more laid back and conversational in that game,
Yeah,
a little more boastful. It's unfortunate that it's paired with being the first game where Knuckles has zero attachment to his place in the world, and
yeah,
it's just one of Sonic's buddies. But we've talked about that before. It doesn't really hamper the performance, in my opinion. It's still a standout thing.
yeah. I do like Scott Dreyer's performance in Sonic Heroes. I like both performances in Heroes and Adventure 2. I think they're just two approaches that I both see the value in and like. I like that he's kind of uh, quiet and he kind of mutters to himself a little bit in
Yeah.
Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah.
But I do also like his shouty voice in Heroes more than I like all of the other characters, because it feels, like you said, it feels a little more boastful and it sounds more like he's having fun than like
Right.
Sonic or Tails, who are just screaming the whole way through.
True for a lot of other characters in that too.
Yeah.
It's also something I like to contrast with Knuckles' portrayal following Heroes from other voice actors. No, I don't mean to say anything unnecessarily bad about Dan Green or anything. He's a fine voice actor, but I definitely feel like his direction and voice direction for Knuckles, once he joined the voice cast specifically, or once he joined the game's voice cast specifically, really impacted Knuckles' portrayal for the negative going forward. Just because it felt like from that point onward, Knuckles was mostly defined by being loud and gravelly, and angry, and like Travis Willingham was able to kind of dial that down a bit over time, especially going into Boom. But then that kind of transitioned into Knuckles being noticeably dumb, and then that's how Dave B. Mitchell sounds in Team Sonic Racing.
Yeah.
I have a note here that Dave B. Mitchell's Knuckles is a little too Megas XLR.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that means anything, because I don't really know how else to put it. It just sounds really like bro-y.
Yeah, I could see that. That makes sense.
Something like deeper and looser in a way that I don't really care for.
Dave B. Mitchell did voice Herbert P. Bear in Club Penguin. We wish you a Merry Walrus in 2014. So
this has to mean something.
Yeah, he also voiced the judge in Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, so that's crazy.
That is crazy, huh?
Oh, he voiced a commercial guy in the Lorax. I'm just going down the list right now. Oh my god, he's 3 different characters in Boom Blocks?
What's Boom Blocks?
Do you know? Oh my god. This is... going into Boom Blocks is probably going to be one of the most crazy derails we will ever have on the show. Boom Blocks is a weird Wii game. I think Steven Spielberg had some hand in its production.
Really?
Yeah, where you just throw blocks at like a big formation of blocks to break a specific amount of them. I used to have it. I don't remember the specifics. There was like a level editor where you could make your own stuff out of the blocks. So if you wanted to make a big pixel Mario and then throw a sheep at it and make it explode, you could do that.
All right. I'll worry about getting Boom Blocks and making a Sonic 1 Sonic in there some other time.
That would be impressive.
Put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
Enough of my Knuckles voice actor opinions. I have more of them than I have Sonic voice actor opinions, and I don't know when that happened.
Just happened one day.
It just happened one day. It was like a mutation. I got bit by a radioactive knuckle.
Ooh.
I have other thoughts before we jump off of voice actors, because other things are going on.
Yeah.
But like, I'm glad that Colleen O'Shaughnessy is staying in the role for Tails to some degree, because she's probably the best voice actor yet, outside of like the kid voice actors they had for the Sonic cartoons, the Deke ones back in the day, that were like surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I do miss the days of Tails being portrayed in the writing as well as the voice direction as like just a nice little kid.
Yeah.
Just someone who's fun to be friends with, tags along. And that's when I think kids they had on who were surprisingly decent actors for their ages also were doing great. And it was fun and charming. But if you're bringing on adult women to do a voice for Tails, I like Colleen O'Shaughnessy the best so far.
Yeah. It's it's interesting in that respect. The Sonic Boom voice direction kind of lines up with my personal philosophy that like a lot of media benefits from having TV show voice direction because
Hmm.
like when you are under that kind of roof, um, you will definitely get a much better standard of quality than basically any video game, especially ones that are not made in English speaking territories, which Sonic has had a history of um, voice direction being dictated by people who are not native English speakers, so
Yeah.
that plays a part of it.
And it's
Um,
weird that that didn't change
yeah,
when Ken Pontac and Warren Graff were the writers for the games.
yeah, that's true. I actually do kind of wonder where in the world, Sonic writing kind of is mostly done
Mm-hmm.
because um, I don't think they really do like the bulk of the story work. I think like the scenario stuff. I think
Right.
maybe only one time they've done that, and I don't remember which game it was. It was either Lost World or Forces. Um, but for the most part, they just do yeah, like revision old script writing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If
So
I had to guess, it was probably Lost World, just because that game involved a lot of that game's plot involved a lot of ham-fisted drama that was like out of character for the ways that Sonic was being written before and after.
yeah, man, they really didn't know that much about the characters.
Uh, everyone rags on that, which is fair because it's true.
Yeah,
I feel like someone could come along with absolutely no background of in Sonic in terms of watching or playing anything related to Sonic and write a good Sonic story.
yeah.
But I really wish they'd known anything because it really shows that they didn't.
Yeah, like you said, I'm not the kind of person who thinks that anyone who has never touched a franchise can come in and then just do a bad job. But like they're there and they did not set a very good example. And like the whole time that they were there, the comics were getting really good.
Oh yeah. uh, the comics had gotten so much momentum.
Yeah, like even if you don't necessarily like the storytelling necessarily, the quality of writing in the comics went up tremendously during that time, and that's mostly attributed to Ian Flynn.
Right. You know, he's still there now, and they could bring him on at any point. Still,
Yeah, have they not gotten him on to do anything game related at all whatsoever yet?
never.
Hmm.
For what it's
I
worth, it's more likely than ever because I can't remember the exact source for this. And I definitely don't have it in front of me, but I knew either reading it on Twitter or on Sonic Retro at some point in the last few months that uh, their Sonic team is undergoing a massive shift to having most of its Sonic the Hedgehog related development happen in the US again.
yeah.
So like there's always a chance. It's more likely than ever that they could feel inclined, maybe with new direction at the helm of Sonic projects, feel more inclined to bring on people like Ian Flynn, who have ties to the franchise, are working under Sega's umbrella to some degree right now,
Yeah.
and have demonstrated a huge attachment to like every little detail that allows them to craft new and interesting things from things that have already been established.
Hmm.
It could happen.
I hope so.
I hope so too, even as someone who's like not super attached to the comics, just because I have trust something interesting would come out of it.
Yeah.
Way more interesting than anything Pontac and Graf were ready to put out again.
Yeah. I it's weird what I think would be like a good next step for Sonic because I don't really know. I don't really know what they should do. I like there's not a one catch-all solution. Um,
Totally.
it's more like what they do next will set a precedent for what their goal is with the franchise going forward,
Hmm.
and I guess whatever that will be very telling. Because like even if they got Ian Flynn on, I don't know what direction per se I would want them to go into in terms of the tone of the writing.
I mean, luckily Ian is good at doing like different levels of intensity with his writing.
Yeah.
I think he could bring something lighthearted should they want that, or should he want that.
Mhm.
I don't know. Thinking about it myself, I'm also not sure what I want out of the plot for another Sonic game or the tone.
Yeah. I think I just want something that feels earnest.
Same. Yeah, I was starting to dig my way toward that.
Like if we could lean back into the thing we just spent so much time talking about, I think the thing that really sticks out about Sonic Adventure 2's story, despite its flaws, is how earnest it is. And I think you
Hmm.
could kind of see that also with Sonic Adventure, but that feels a little more bogged down because of the voice direction and the animations. With Sonic Adventure, you can definitely feel or Sonic Adventure 2, you could definitely feel the ambition and what they're going for, and that did kind of carry over a little more through that era. Um, Even with Sonic Heroes, you could definitely feel that there was some sense of earnestness to it, even though I don't think that degree of lightheartedness is like productive or fitting.
Right. At least it wasn't productive for what they'd already set up.
Yeah, it's weird because Sonic Heroes was supposed to be like a big return to form thematically, and it's like, oh, it's bright and colorful like the classic games, but like it really doesn't feel like that, I don't think.
Yeah. This is a strange thought, or at least it seems strange that I'm thinking about this. I never thought about it before. I really wish that Sonic Team had stuck with their guns. Anytime that like they had ended up making a return to form, you know,
Yeah,
I wish they just kind of kept forward with the energy and ideas they were already bringing.
yeah,
It sucks because, like, of course, the thing that a corporation is going to have a development team like that do is respond to feedback and criticism heavily from the public and from magazines and like reviews, and that's what gets them into a situation where they're like, okay, we really need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what makes people like Sonic for this next game,
yeah,
instead of doing whatever they may have found interesting or enjoyable or motivating from their previous project.
yeah. The thing that I'm now thinking about is like part of the response from every Sonic game that causes them to kind of overcorrect sometimes is like it feels very unfocused
Mm.
with what everyone wants because you get fans who each want completely different things because there's so many different styles of Sonic just in terms of gameplay and even tone of writing. And then you have like I guess more mainstream media outlets who like they're not gonna like much um with the Sonic franchise because of just the way that it's talked about generally.
It's
You're not
bogged
gonna
down.
yeah, you're not gonna be scoring a lot of points with them, which makes me wonder if they should just kind of I guess play to the crowd and because obviously Sonic is going to is going to work best in some sort of score attack related environment, I would
Hmm.
say, because that's kind of what complements his gameplay best. And those kind of games don't sell for $60 anymore. And this is like a whole other kind of industry discussion. And
Uh,
um, even just considering this is in and of itself, I think, contentious because I don't think games like this should be seen as lesser regardless. But there's also the factor that games shouldn't be $60 to begin with. If
th-
Sonic games are going to be really replayable and not super long on their own, and be very score attack heavy, maybe they should just buckle a little bit and then make them like $30 games. I think that would be
Forces was
fine.
40.
It was yeah, you're right. Forces was a weird case. I think even then they should kind of dial back
Yeah.
the scope, which is a weird thing to say after I just talk about really respecting the ambition. But with forces, it definitely doesn't feel like they're really shooting for anything. So I think that's a separate situation at least.
Right, because
Um,
like I don't know if the ambition in Forces is comparable to the kind of ambition you can feel from previous games. It's
yeah,
it's definitely a game that has a bunch of different things it wants to be, and isn't sure how much it wants to be any of them.
yeah, exactly.
Compared to like
It's
SA2, where it definitely wants to be a lot of things, and it's trying its darndest to do all things.
yeah, that's definitely I think the thesis statement for that whole era of Sonic. You could say that honestly about every single Sonic game that released between like 2001 and 2008. I would say that.
Yeah, I would say that.
I would include Sonic 06 in that conversation.
Oh, absolutely. The only reason Sonic 06 doesn't come off that way to people is because it's a buggy, unfinished mess of a game because it didn't have the development time it needed.
Yeah, exactly. But like even without that, you can definitely tell that they were really kind of firing off on all cylinders with making this big, crazy, huge game. They
Mm-hmm.
just that it was just the farthest they had ever come thus far to achieving that. Hmm.
And that kind of brings us back to just hoping that the next Sonic game is interesting beyond
Yeah.
anything else. That was one of my issues with Forces when it was not just when it was announced, but even when it came out, even when I saw like first gameplay trailer, I was just like, this isn't this isn't pulling me in
Yeah.
that much. And when it came out, it still didn't. I played it all the way through with a couple of friends, one of whom is also a massive Sonic fan, and we were all just really underwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that bad. It was just underwhelming.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing about Sonic Forces is that like it's certainly not bad by any means, but it commits the worst crime a Sonic game can commit, which is that it's just boring.
Yeah. Normally, that's reserved for spin offs.
Yeah. Hmm. I would like to see a 3D Sonic equivalent to a kind of project like Mania. Not necessarily like, oh, it's a big throwback where we go to all
Right.
the old levels. Just like something with that sort of scope that is very manageable and feels like there's some degree of passion put into it. And I think
Yeah,
that's
we're
part
good
of
on throwbacks right now.
yeah, because like with Mania, the Mania being announced alongside Forces is certainly interesting because in a vacuum, um, announcing Mania alongside kind of a more serious oriented Sonic game using modern aesthetic um, is a smart play. It's just that a lot of the other executive decisions they made with Forces bogged down that idea ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like for one, if they didn't have classic Sonic and they just focused on Sonic and the Avatar, they would probably help tremendously right off the bat. But that's just harder to do. Like part of the appeal of Sonic Mania is the people working on it, but also just the fact that it's so much easier to produce a classic style 2D Sonic just at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what they would do with 3D Sonic. I guess like if they can make smaller, more traditional 3D platforming levels like in the adventure games, then they probably should be capable of making something of that scope without kind of blowing over the budget. Because
Right.
with the boost games, you are always covering tremendously more ground, but I don't know for sure. That's not my. I don't know.
Yeah. Uh, I would like to see something of a scaled back experience like that, pulling from the level design and scope of even just one story in the
Yeah.
adventure games. Would be kind of nice. Um, I don't. I was thinking back to Shay May's Sonic Spitball series on YouTube, and while I don't think I want the specific game that he was pitching, I just I like that what he was pitching was something that was very simple in scope and straightforward in setup, straightforward in pacing and structure, just so they can theoretically focus on making the game control fun
Mm.
and making level design not reactive, not literally reactive, but make level design that feels reactive to your play in that, like, in the same way the original Genesis games have level design that's reactive to your play, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, you'll do something and you'll get to a place um that was super fake. You'll make a choice in how you're traversing the level, and it'll put you somewhere that informs you of either how levels are structured or what you can stand to gain from playing in a certain way, making decisions like jumping at this point. And that's the sort of thing that I feel like the 3D games have been missing for a long time, because even though you kind of get that to some degree out of the boost games, they're way more fast paced than like what I'm picturing in my head, which is
Yeah.
you have like the ability to stop and take these things in and process and understand the level from that angle.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you can do that in the boost games too. It's just not very satisfying.
Do you do you think having like a more open world Sonic where it is just one main big area might be easier? Because I genuinely don't know. It would have to be a very big,
Mm.
all-encompassing area, and that's the thing is that it would have to be really, really, really big, and I don't know if that's less work than having a bunch of individual levels. I figure it is more work, but hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see that. And like fan games have been trying that for a while, and none of them have gelled with me.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the issue there is that a lot of 3D Sonic fan games are big, not in the sense that there's a lot of land to traverse, but in the sense that Sonic feels super small. A lot of them have
Yeah,
not struck the balance yet of proportion.
yeah. I think that might also it's a consequence of the controls and of
Hmm.
yeah, the controls and just 3D platforming in general. Um,
That's kind of fair.
yeah, it's tough to work around, but it would probably help by having, smaller textures, more
Hmm.
little detail to kind of spruce up the place.
True, true.
Um,
I wonder how doable it would be to like make a 3D Sonic game with really tight like air control,
mhm,
so that you could do platforming, and then also not making it the fastest it could theoretically be.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. I think back to Sonic Adventure 1, and like you kind of your top speed as Sonic in that game, at least without like going down a slope or hitting a speed booster, I think is slower than your top running speed in Sonic Adventure 2, but it still
yeah,
feels fine.
yeah. I was
It
gonna
doesn't
say you're
feel like you're
basically
slow.
describing Sonic Adventure 1.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So like if they could just make him play like that again, I think there's a lot of potential still for like fine control that allows for expansive and platforming heavy without being intimidating
Yeah.
kind of level design,
Hmm.
or like intimidating or inaccessible.
I would be down if they could for some reason. I think it has to do with the fact that his jumps are kind of floaty.
Hmm.
Sonic in Sonic Adventure 1 he feels like styrofoam to me. Like that's the first thing that came to mind. He feels a little more solid in Adventure 2, which I think I prefer a little bit more. But just the way that you kind of coast through things in Adventure 1, definitely he feels like a little styrofoam guy.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I like that. I like that description. I do think that's an assessment that's true.
Mhm.
Uh, they would need to tighten up the feel. I have no idea how to put that better, but like take the way that Sonic feels in Sonic Adventure 1, and I'm not sure if making him less floaty specifically is the right answer, but like just bar none, play around with him a bunch. Play around with the way that Sonic moves in Sonic Adventure 1, tweak variables, tweak um, aspects to how much you can tweak his motion um, in play. I mean, I use tweak in
Yeah.
two different ways there. In the same way that when they were making Super Mario 64, they spent a bunch of time trying to make Mario's control responsive and
Yeah.
natural.
I definitely think you can get a lot of mileage with not making Sonic's ground movement necessarily fast, but giving him very fluid and intuitive parkour mechanics that would definitely help him feel like he's moving through a lot of area
Mm-hmm.
quickly or at least efficiently. I think that's more important than necessarily moving directly faster.
Yeah,
Um, and I
I
think that's
really
something that
like.
Sonic is definitely missing.
I agree. I really like to see them figure out a way to make Sonic run through areas without being impeded by anything. Should you control him just the right way, and like
Yeah.
give the player the tools to do that, which would be stuff like parkour mechanics that, but parkour mechanics that work that aren't the ones in Lost World.
Yeah, Lost Worlds are so strange because like they have the right idea, they're just way too restrictive. Like
Yeah,
they feel too automated. Like I'm sure good parkour mechanics would be more automated than they are in Lost World, but they feel like considerably more stilted and automated in Lost
right.
World than they do in something like Spider-Man, which is like that's
Yeah,
the whole thing you're doing is running up walls and all around, and it
because it's
feels good.
right because it's more of a degree of like actually making it feel not automated. It's more of the game programming and how um how the player feels controlling it rather than the realities of how it's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I just want a 3D Sonic game to like feel smooth. They've
Yeah,
been rigid
I
for a while.
yeah. I'm very interested in seeing Sonic get it's weird. I'm very mixed on it. I'm curious to see Sonic get like a good identity for himself in 3D, but at the same time I do prefer kind of changing things up and progressing. I
Mm-hmm.
guess the thing about 3D Sonic so far is that it's been a lot of side grades. We only have straight upgrades in very iterative senses, like big subjective alert. But you could say that Sonic Adventure 2 is an upgrade from Sonic Adventure 1,
Right.
but you're not going to say that about Heroes to Adventure 2. That's a different kind of gameplay. You're not going to say that the boost is a direct upgrade from those kinds of games and so on and so forth. They're all different and they're all side grades to each other. I I would like to see them establish like a good central idea and like set of mechanics for 3D Sonic and then iterate on that um in an interesting way going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it doesn't even. Mm, it doesn't even have to be this sort of thing where like they stick with it forever. Because that's not one that's not realistic. We expect iteration every time we get a new game. Period.
Hmm.
And consumer bases get tired of the same thing even when it is iterated on.
Yeah.
Um, what I want is for them to do something and iron out the kinks in it, um, which they've done, going from Unleashed to Colors to Generations. They can
Yeah.
do that again with something new that also works.
Yeah.
And the reason that like that's such a desired thing right now is because they've gone through so many games, like you said, that are side grades to attempts at Sonic in 3D, instead
Hmm.
of like full on next iterative step, figuring out what works, tossing out the rest, and moving on.
Does make me think about Mario though.
Yeah, because that's just what Mario's done forever.
Yeah, like when you do break I know I've said in the past that it doesn't really feel like 3D Mario doesn't super innovate and I still kind of feel that way.
Hmm.
When you break them down into the two kind of core I guess ideas that like the same way Nintendo has where the sandbox and linear, you can kind of see um kind of that tunnel vision that feels meaner than I mean it. But like that, the innovation that is basically just exclusive to 3D Mario with that respective goal. Like when it comes to linear Mario, you can see how they start drifting more towards just like raw platforming from level to level. And even though that is basically as it feels very close to the 2D games, that is still like them reaching that point they're still walking towards that. It's still progressing. It feels a little more of a productive and innovative thought process and conversation when you're looking at the sandbox Marios,
Mm-hmm.
because those games were always by design they were designed day one for 3D gameplay, so you can see how something like Odyssey iterates on a kind of Galaxy, but also like Sunshine and 64, especially to make that work in a more modern capacity with
Totally.
more intuitive controls.
And that's the sort of focus that it feels like they're not interested in keeping. Well,
Yeah.
maybe not right now. It's hard to say where they're at right now. Sonic Team is a development studio, but for a while they were really ready to drop the progress they'd made, and I don't know, how do I put it? Lost World was such a strange jump. To this day, I still don't really understand what they were going for, coming off the heels of Generations, going into Lost World, like structurally.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like they really scrapped everything that they were doing with Sonic in 3D. Like, sure, they kept the homing attack. Sure, it's to some degree the same Sonic model. Sure, it's a lot of design inspiration from a design inspiration iteration visually on how they'd been doing Sonic levels in the games prior. But like controls wise and level design wise and game structure wise, it was so distanced from any of the previous Sonic games in 3D. And that's
Mm-hmm.
true of a lot of games in the like 2000s era for Sonic, where they were super unfocused.
Hmm.
I guess not in the same way, but you kind of see what I mean, right? Like I jumped to like Shadow the Hedgehog, which was this really obvious structural experiment for the team.
Yeah.
Even though the three previous Sonic games had all had the three previous mainline Sonic games anyway, it all had different main storyline structures where Sonic Adventure was completely separated into different intersecting storylines. Sonic Adventure 2 had the two running parallel storylines, but they were both linear level to cutscene to level to level to cutscene to level to cutscene. And Sonic Adventure had the hub worlds, and then Sonic Heroes was the exact same game 4 times with minor changes, which is just level to cutscene to level to cutscene to level to cutscene. And then Shadow the Hedgehog was this choose your own adventure thing.
Yeah.
Really clear experimental thing. But at least Shadow the Hedgehog kept the game control from Heroes and tightened it up. Where Lost World is just this complete starting over.
Yeah, definitely. Hmm. I guess in that respect, they just kind of got tired of the boost. Like they felt like they had just done everything they could and wanted to move forward with something. But yeah, Sonic Lost World isn't really a progression of anything. It's just like the comparisons to Mario are apt with that
Mm-hmm.
game.
Yeah, I got really rambly there, but the point I really wanted to make was that even though there's a comparison to be made between some of the strange design and structural decisions of games for Sonic in the aughts to Lost World in specific, at least there were through lines each time. The game
Mm.
control from Adventure 1 to Adventure 2, the overall level progression in terms of gameplay from Adventure 2 to Heroes, where it's level to cutscene, just nonstop, and you choose when you want to break. And then the game control from Heroes to Shadow, and then the tone to some degree from Shadow to 06.
Yeah.
And it's like Lost World barely has any through line except for the writing.
Hmm.
Fun segue for y'all. Ken Pontac and Warren Graff, the writers for Sonic, starting. Did they start with free writers? No. I have to check that. Hold on. Let me double check before I make a statement like that. I know they for sure were the writers from Colors onward? Okay, yeah. Starting with Sonic Colors, they did the writing, at the very least, dialogue writing, maybe scenario writing, or maybe collaborative with other people on staff for scenario writing for Colors, Generations, Lost World Forces, and Team Sonic Racing.
Mm-hmm.
That was their final work for the franchise. They also did writing for the 3DS Sonic Boom games and exactly one episode of the Sonic Boom TV show.
Mm.
They were dropped this year, I believe, very early this year. And I don't know, it's a little mean, but good riddance.
Yeah, I think we've voiced that kind of feeling about it earlier when we touched upon it.
Yeah. It was just when it wasn't flat, the writing was hokey.
Yeah.
Or forced. None of the characters really came off genuine, was a big problem I had with the writing from Colors onward. There were moments in Forces, I will say, where Sonic had some nice lines that made it actually feel like he was for real toying with other characters.
Yeah.
Which was fun, but all the other time when Sonic was making witty one-liners in like Colors and Generations and Lost World, it was very like bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
It was not that great. They I don't even know how to put it, because so many people compare it to like, oh, it's a Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah, if you're watching a bad one.
If you're watching a bad one, yeah. If you're watching one of the really mediocre ones that were pushed through the pipeline as fast as they could in the 80s and 90s
To try to sell you toys.
Yeah. Come get the new Sonic figure at Toys R Us, where when you squeeze him, he talks about how he's going to give you the best boss beating ever. Like, yeah, that's a line. That's a catchphrase for sure. Yes, right? He just says 4 words and then says initialism.
Yeah.
Sorry, other way around. He gives the initialism and then says what it is afterward. It keeps you in the dark for a moment. It just wasn't
Sonic.
interesting.
Yeah. You can't forget about... Actually, did they try bringing back Baldy McNosehair? Like, he said it once, and I think he said it in another game, and they tried to make it a thing.
Yeah.
Or am I misremembering?
I think you're right. Now I need to find out. Oh, does he say it in Sonic Boom?
That's also what I found.
He does say it in Boom.
What the video that I know we're both watching is so strange, because like the render quality in the footage looks terrible. It looks like it's not final lighting.
Good God.
That's so strange that that's even in Sonic Boom. I feel like Sonic Boom is too like nihilistic or pessimistic about itself to even make jokes like that.
I know, right? I have to wonder if this was clipped from the one episode that Pontac and Graf wrote. Like, I don't know. It could be.
That would be poetic.
Yeah. It looks like, yeah, he says it once in Lost World also.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So 3 times total.
Mm-hmm.
I guess 4, because I think they set up Baldy Nosehair in Colors in order to pay it off later with Sonic bringing the name back.
Yeah.
Something like that. They really tried to push it. It's so funny. They didn't know what made for charming dialogue, I don't think.
Yeah. I wonder if like they got really hooked on like the stereotype of Sonic, like, oh, he's this hip 90s cool dude, so he's got to have all these cool catchphrases that sound equally as annoying, even though that's never really been the case.
Right. You know, I don't know all that Pontac and Graf have done, but like, I feel like it's telling that when they were brought on for for Sonic Colors, the big thing everyone knew them for was Happy Tree Friends.
Mm-hmm.
I think they also did writing for Mad World, but I never played that. It was a hyper-violent Sega published, I think Sega developed Wii game. Just don't really know anything about it. But like, Happy Tree Friends.
Yeah, it's something, all right.
I think we've got some high hopes for where Sonic can be soon.
Yeah, it feels a little bad that a lot of this episode was kind of a downer about it. Like we were just kind of airing the dirty laundry with some of the stuff. I don't know. I think there's just a lot of kind of neutral things to talk about with Sonic in general. I have high hopes. I think all of the shifting around of things is a good thing. I'm very excited to see where they go going forward. And regardless, I think they're in a very good spot right now, especially with the movie. The movie is doing them a lot of good because, like, even if the movie wasn't super Sonic-like, I feel very confident in saying that the sequel will be.
Yeah. So, I hope also.
Yeah.
I think also that it's kind of telling that we had a lot of dirty laundry to air about like where Sonic has been for a while, because the fact that there are change-ups now means we're moving away from that, and that has the high potential to be a really good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's a good time to like think about how you feel about where Sonic's been and see if you also feel like it can go up from here.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all I've got.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot to end things on. This was always meant to be a little bit of a breather episode.
Yeah.
Like always, you could find us on our main website and on Twitter. I'm going to do the website first. It's LTASonic.card, CARRD.co, CO. You can find us on Twitter also, like I said. That's twitter.com/LTASonic. You can find us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/LTASonic. The card has links to a whole bunch of other websites if you didn't like this one. I'm Mitt. You can find me at twitter.com/Mitsumi Mario.
I'm Crepe, and you can find me on twitter.com/crappyblue.
And we'll see you in the next zone. It'll be in the future, though.
Be a future zone. A good future?
I hope so. It could be a good future. I don't know.
Yeah.